In Latin, flux means flame, and the roads leading from Alexander Springs to Manatee Springs were ablaze in varying hues of pink, purple, and white. As you can see, phlox is beloved by butterflies, and hummingbirds as well. The main attraction at Manatee Springs State Park is, of course, Manatee Springs. It is a first magnitude spring and the largest on the Suwannee River. There are about 20 manatees who shelter here in the winter, taking advantage of water that stays 72 degrees year-round. Alligators, snakes, turtles, fish, and a variety of birds also call this home. While we were there, the water was clear and beautiful, and I had to take advantage of it, and so did everyone else. There's a boardwalk that follows the quarter-mile run from the spring to the Suwannee River. The dark round clusters you see in the trees are tillandsias, also known as air plants. There are 16 species of tillandsia in Florida, including Spanish moss. Some species are threatened by loss of habitat, others by illegal collecting and the Mexican bromeliad weevil.
If you had a glimpse inside my head, you'd know I'm different than you. What works for you might not work for me, 'cause that's our solid ground. I'll build a life that helps me thrive. I hope you're doing the same. Through my eyes I see different than you. Together we open new worlds. Different eyes lead to new heights, new views. Together we color the world. Discovering self to know how to grow. Genius takes many shades. Truth is we all need to open our minds. Normal doesn't exist. Learn what you need and how you see. Lean deep in your strength. Through my eyes I see different than you. Together we open new worlds. Different eyes lead to new heights, new views. Together.
So now we're on the sinkhole trail for at Manatee Springs State Park, and it goes along several sinkholes of varying depths. So we'll see what we can see. So here's one of our first sinkholes. It looks like some kind of animal's been wallowing down there because it's wet. Some kind of animal's been traipsing through there. Huh. It's interesting. Not as big as the sinkholes that we saw on the yearling trail, but still interesting. Here's another sinkhole. And they're really just holes, you know? This is the biggest sinkhole we've seen, and this one's full of water. I don't want to slide down in it. I do know that. But some kind of animal, once again, some animals are drinking out of that. I'm seeing animal footprints down in that mud. I don't know what it is. Anyway. After our hike, we went back to camp, had an early supper, and headed back to the boardwalk to catch the sunset. The next morning, before we headed out to our next destination, we took a hike on the North Loop Trail in Manatee Springs State Park. Now we're on the main trail. There are several loops going off. Also, there are a lot of markers telling you what the plants are, which is nice. This is a loblolly pine, and as the sign says, they grow to be about 100 feet tall. The needles are short on a loblolly pine. The pine cones, as you can see, aren't really big. They're kind of small. They're really pretty trees. They are more susceptible to some pines for pine beetles and that kind of thing. And they can suffer a lot of stress. But like a lot of plants in Florida and in the pine savanna, they do benefit from natural fires. One of the things about loblolly pines is they have a sheath, which is this part right here, and 3 needles coming up from the sheath. And as you can see, the needles are not very long. I'd say about 8 inches. One of the cool things on this trail and on the other trail in the park is they have these listening posts. So they just have a bench, and it's just a place for you to be quiet and listen. This tree is loaded with resurrection fern. Like the tillandsias, resurrection fern is an epiphyte, which means it doesn't feed off of its host plant. It gets its nutrients from the air and from water and deposits that collect on the surface of its host plant. During a drought, it looks dead. Its fronds are curled in and it becomes dry and brown. But add just a little bit of water and the fronds unfurl and become lush and green. So we're going to go up here and see that little replica. You can see it blends in. It's really cool looking. Has a little platform bed.